Today, I want to talk about something profound, not just the kind of love we read about in novels or see in the movies, but a love that has depth, a love that, when given, changes us. I want to talk about what happens when a woman loves you. When a woman loves you, it's like she sees straight through the cracks you've tried so hard to cover up. She sees your messiness, your imperfections, the parts of you that you don't even like to admit exist. And she doesn't turn away. She steps closer. Because real love isn't about idealizing someone, it's about standing in the reality of who they are and choosing them anyway. When a woman loves you, she sees beyond the surface, beyond the masks we wear every day. It's not the polished version of ourselves that she's drawn to, it's the raw, unfiltered person underneath. In a world where we're constantly pressured to present only our best selves, to filter our photos, curate our stories, and highlight our successes, being seen in our entirety can be both terrifying and liberating. This kind of love doesn't gloss over flaws or turn a blind eye to imperfections. Instead, it acknowledges them, embraces them, and finds beauty in them. It is a love that is honest, and it's rooted in the deep understanding that perfection is not the currency of real connection. Think about the moments when you felt the most vulnerable, when the cracks in your armor have been most visible. Maybe it was a time when you faced a failure you couldn't hide, or when your insecurities bubbled to the surface, or when you felt lost and unsure of who you were becoming. In those moments, it's easy to assume that anyone who truly saw you would turn away. It's a common fear that if people saw the real us, the parts we try so hard to keep hidden, they wouldn't love us anymore. But when a woman truly loves you, she doesn't shy away from these moments. She steps closer. She looks beyond the surface level appearances and sees the depth of who you are, including the parts that are still healing and the ones you're not proud of. This kind of love is profound because it's based on a deep understanding that we are all imperfect. It doesn't demand that you change or fix yourself to be worthy of love. Instead, it offers a space where you can be yourself without the need to constantly put on a show. It's the kind of love that says, I see your scars and I love you not in spite of them, but because they are a part of your story. When a woman loves you like this, she's not ignoring your flaws. She's recognizing them as part of the intricate mosaic that makes you who you are. She's loving the whole picture, not just the parts that are easy to admire. It's often said that we fall in love with someone's strengths, but grow to love their weaknesses. This is because true intimacy isn't built on the facade of perfection. It's built on the shared moments of vulnerability and the courage it takes to be seen fully. When you're willing to show someone your fears, your insecurities, and the parts of yourself that you struggle to accept, and they still look at you with love, it's an incredibly powerful feeling. It's a validation that you don't have to be perfect to be loved. You just have to be real. And that is the kind of love that creates a deep, unshakable bond, one that can withstand the inevitable challenges of life. When a woman loves you in this way, she sees potential where you see flaws. She sees strength where you see weakness. This doesn't mean she's ignoring reality or putting you on a pedestal. Rather, she has the capacity to see the whole spectrum of who you are. She sees the good, the bad, and everything in between, and she chooses you. This choice is powerful because it's made with full awareness. It's not about idealizing you or imagining a perfect version of who you might become someday. It's about loving the person standing in front of her right now with all your imperfections intact. The beauty of this kind of love is that it can be transformative. When someone sees us this way, when they look beyond our flaws and love us for who we are, it gives us permission to do the same for ourselves. It's as if their love holds up a mirror, reflecting back a more compassionate, accepting version of ourselves. You start to see yourself not just through the lens of your own self-criticism, but through the eyes of someone who loves you unconditionally. This can be a healing experience because it challenges the internal narrative that tells us we're not good enough unless we meet certain standards. Often, we are our own harshest critics. We zero in on our mistakes, our insecurities, and the parts of ourselves we wish we could change. We believe that these flaws make us unworthy of love, so we hide them. We put on masks trying to show only our most polished selves to the world. But when a woman truly loves you, she sees past those masks. She's not fooled by the bravado or the facade you put up to protect yourself. She's interested in the real you, the one that exists when the masks come off and the walls come down. This kind of love isn't easy because it requires both people to show up fully, to be vulnerable, and to let themselves be seen. It's an act of bravery to allow someone to see the parts of you that you've tried so hard to hide. It's an act of trust to believe that they will still be there when they see the whole picture. And when a woman loves you with this kind of depth, it creates a space where you can be honest about your fears and your flaws. You don't have to hide behind the pretense of being perfect. You can simply be yourself. Ultimately, this love is a gift. It's an invitation to step into the fullness of who you are, to embrace your own imperfections as part of your humanity. It's a reminder that you don't have to earn love by being flawless. You are already deserving of it just by being who you are. And that is perhaps the most beautiful and liberating truth of all. Vulnerability is often misunderstood. Many of us are taught from a young age that to be vulnerable is to be weak, exposed, or somehow deficient. We're encouraged to put up walls, to present only the strongest, most polished versions of ourselves to the world. But in doing so, we deny ourselves the very thing we crave most, genuine connection. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we're opening the door to deeper, more meaningful relationships. Vulnerability is not about oversharing or exposing our every thought and feeling. It's about showing up authentically without the masks we so often wear. It's about being brave enough to say, this is me, the real me with all my flaws, fears, and insecurities. It's in these moments of raw honesty that true connection is forged. I think about the times when you felt the closest to someone. It's rarely when things were perfect, easy, or smooth. Instead, it's often during moments of shared struggle, when you or someone else opened up about a fear, a mistake, or a painful experience. It's in these moments of vulnerability, when we let our guards down and allow ourselves to be truly seen, that we form the strongest bonds. When someone shares a piece of themselves that they usually keep hidden, it's a powerful act of trust. It's saying, I trust you enough to show you a part of myself that I usually keep locked away. And when that vulnerability is met with empathy and understanding, it creates a deep sense of connection. It's as if both people are saying to each other, you're not alone. I see you and I'm here with you. The fear of being vulnerable often stems from the belief that if people knew the real us, they wouldn't love us. We worry that our flaws, insecurities, and past mistakes make us unworthy of connection. So we put up barriers, hiding behind a facade of confidence, success, or whatever it is we think will make us seem more likable or impressive. But these barriers don't protect us, they isolate us. They prevent us from being truly known by others and from forming the deep, meaningful relationships we desire. The irony is that the very thing we think will make us unlovable, our vulnerability, is actually what makes us most lovable. It's what makes us human, relatable, and real. When we share our struggles, our fears, and our hopes, we invite others to do the same. We create a space where they can be their true selves without fear of judgment. And in that space, real connection is born. In many ways, vulnerability is an act of courage. It takes courage to show up and be seen, to let someone in when you're afraid they might not like what they find. It's a risk because there's always the possibility that they won't respond in the way you hope. But it's a risk worth taking because the alternative is to keep people at arm's length, never allowing them to see the real you. And while this might feel safer, it's also incredibly lonely. We might have surface level interactions and relationships, but without vulnerability, we can't experience true intimacy. We can't form the deep, lasting connections that bring meaning and joy to our lives. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we give others permission to be vulnerable as well. It's a gift that says, it's okay to be imperfect. It's okay to have fears and doubts. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. This kind of openness creates a sense of safety and trust in relationships. It signals to others that they don't have to hide parts of themselves to be accepted. They can show up as they are, knowing that they will be met with compassion and empathy. And this, in turn, deepens the connection between people. It creates a bond that goes beyond shared interests or activities. It's a bond based on a shared understanding of what it means to be human. Many of us have experienced moments when we tried to open up to someone and were met with indifference or judgment. These experiences can make us hesitant to be vulnerable again. We might think, it's not safe to share this part of myself. I need to keep it hidden to protect myself. But what we often don't realize is that by keeping our vulnerability hidden, we're also keeping out the possibility of genuine connection. It's a self-protective mechanism that ends up doing more harm than good. The truth is, not everyone will respond to our vulnerability in the way we hope. But those who do are the ones who will become our closest friends, our partners, our true allies. They are the ones who will stand by us, not because we're perfect, but because we're real. Vulnerability is the foundation of connection because it's what allows us to be seen and known for who we truly are. When we're willing to drop the mask and show up as ourselves, we give others the chance to see us, to understand us, and to connect with us on a deeper level. It's not about seeking pity or sympathy. It's about being authentic and letting go of the need to appear invulnerable. It's about saying, I'm human and I have struggles just like you. And in doing so, we bridge the gap between ourselves and others. We create a shared space where both people can be fully present, fully themselves. In this space of vulnerability, there is a sense of mutual respect and understanding. We're no longer trying to impress each other or hide our flaws. We're simply being present with one another. This is where real intimacy is built, not in the moments of perfection, but in the moments of imperfection. It's in the times when we're willing to show up as we are, without the fear of judgment, that we find the connections that truly matter. Vulnerability is the bridge that connects us, the thread that weaves our shared human experience together. It's the foundation upon which all meaningful relationships are built, and it's what allows us to truly see and be seen. The courage to be real is something we all grapple with at some point in our lives. It's the courage to show up as we are without pretense, without the masks we've learned to wear, and without hiding behind the polished, curated versions of ourselves that we think the world wants to see. It's about being authentic in a society that often pressures us to conform, to fit into neat boxes, and to present only the parts of ourselves that seem acceptable or admirable. Being real requires a level of honesty and vulnerability that can feel terrifying because it means exposing parts of ourselves that we might not even fully accept. But this is also where true freedom lies. When we are brave enough to be real, we open the door to deeper connections and a more meaningful life. Being real isn't about sharing everything with everyone all the time. It's about showing up honestly in the moments that matter. It's about having the courage to voice your true feelings in a relationship instead of defaulting to what feels safe or convenient. It's about admitting when you're hurt, scared, or uncertain instead of pretending everything is fine. It's about acknowledging your imperfections and not feeling the need to disguise them. This kind of honesty can feel incredibly vulnerable, especially when we've been taught to associate vulnerability with weakness. But in reality, it takes immense strength to show up authentically, to say, this is who I am, and I'm not going to pretend to be someone else to make you comfortable. One of the main reasons we struggle with being real is the fear of rejection. We worry that if people see the true us, our flaws, our insecurities, our quirks, they might not like what they see. This fear often drives us to hide parts of ourselves, to smooth over our rough edges, and to present a version of ourselves that feels more palatable. But this version isn't the full story. It's only a fragment of who we are, a carefully curated slice that we think will be more acceptable to others. And while this might help us avoid some moments of discomfort or rejection, it also keeps us from forming the deep, meaningful connections that come from truly being seen and accepted for who we are. The courage to be real is the willingness to risk being misunderstood, to risk being judged, and to risk being seen as less than perfect. It's acknowledging that we are imperfect human beings and that our worth isn't tied to our ability to appear flawless. When we let go of the need to be perfect, we give ourselves permission to be human. We allow ourselves to make mistakes, to have bad days, to struggle, and to grow. This kind of self-acceptance is powerful because it frees us from the constant pressure to perform or to meet some external standard of worthiness. Instead, we can focus on being present, on living authentically, and on building relationships that are based on who we truly are, not on who we think we should be. The fear of being real is often rooted in shame, the belief that there is something inherently wrong or unworthy about us. This shame tells us that if people knew the real us, they wouldn't love us. So we hide. We put up walls, wear masks, and keep people at a distance. But shame can only thrive in secrecy. When we have the courage to be real, we bring our full selves into the light. We share our stories, our struggles, and our truths. And in doing so, we take away shame's power. We begin to realize that our imperfections are what make us relatable, that our struggles are what make us human, and that our realness is what makes us worthy of love and connection. Choosing to be real also means embracing uncertainty. It's recognizing that we can't control how others will perceive us or how they will react to our authenticity. There will be people who don't understand us, who judge us, or who might even reject us. But there will also be people who see us, who recognize our courage, and who connect with us on a deeper level because of it. The relationships that form when we are being real are built on a foundation of trust and mutual respect. They are the ones that last because they are grounded in truth, not in the false pretense of perfection. The courage to be real often comes from a place of deep self awareness. It's about knowing who we are, what we stand for, and what we value. It's about being clear on our boundaries, our needs, and our desires, and being willing to communicate them openly. This kind of authenticity isn't about being brutally honest or unfiltered in every situation. It's about showing up with integrity, being true to ourselves, and aligning our actions with our values. It's about living in a way that is consistent with who we are at our core, rather than constantly bending or molding ourselves to fit the expectations of others. Being real can be incredibly liberating. It allows us to let go of the exhausting task of maintaining a facade, to stop worrying about how we are being perceived, and to focus instead on living fully and authentically. It means we no longer have to expend energy on hiding parts of ourselves or pretending to be something we're not. Instead, we can use that energy to pursue our passions, to build meaningful relationships, and to live a life that feels true to us. It's about embracing the messy, imperfect journey of being human and finding joy in the process of growth and self-discovery. When we are real, we give others permission to do the same. Our authenticity creates a ripple effect, encouraging those around us to lower their own walls, to be more honest, and to show up as their true selves. It creates an environment where people feel safe to be vulnerable, to share their stories, and to connect on a deeper level. And in this space of mutual authenticity, real, lasting connections are formed. It's in these moments of shared truth, when we see and are seen fully, that we experience the kind of connection that truly nourishes the soul. Transformation through love is one of the most profound experiences a person can undergo. It's a kind of change that goes beyond surface level adjustments or temporary shifts in behavior. It's an internal, almost alchemical process where love acts as the catalyst for growth, healing, and self-discovery. When we experience a deep, genuine love, whether it's romantic, platonic, or familial, it has the power to touch parts of ourselves that we might not have even known existed. It illuminates the hidden corners of our hearts, encouraging us to confront our fears, insecurities, and limitations. Through love, we are invited to see ourselves in a new light, to challenge old beliefs, and to step into a fuller, more authentic version of ourselves. At its core, love is about acceptance. It's about seeing someone for who they truly are and choosing to embrace them, flaws and all. This kind of unconditional acceptance can be transformative because it offers a kind of safety and security that allows us to lower our defenses. We spend so much of our lives putting up walls, trying to protect ourselves from hurt and rejection. But when we are deeply loved, those walls start to come down. We begin to realize that we don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love. This realization can be incredibly freeing. It gives us permission to show up as we are, without the need to constantly perform or prove ourselves. And in this space of acceptance, we find the courage to explore parts of ourselves that we may have kept hidden or repressed. When someone loves us deeply, they often see potential in us that we might not see in ourselves. They believe in our capabilities, even when we doubt them. This kind of belief can be a powerful motivator. It pushes us to step outside of our comfort zones, to take risks, and to pursue our dreams. It's not that love forces us to change. Rather, it inspires us to become the best versions of ourselves because we want to honor the love we are given. We want to live up to the belief that someone else has in us. In this way, love can act as a mirror, reflecting back a vision of ourselves that is full of possibility and strength. It challenges us to rise to the occasion, to embrace our potential, and to strive for growth.
Transformation through love is also about healing. Many of us carry wounds from our past, emotional scars from failed relationships, hurtful experiences, or times when we felt unworthy or unloved. These wounds can leave us feeling guarded and disconnected, making it hard to fully open up to others.
But when we experience a love that is kind, patient, and understanding, it can begin to heal those old wounds. The consistent presence and support of someone who loves us deeply can help us to rebuild our trust in others and in ourselves. It can soothe the parts of us that have been hurt, teaching us that we are deserving of care and compassion. Through this healing process, we start to let go of old pain, making space for new experiences and new ways of being. Love has a way of expanding our hearts and our perspectives. It pushes us to look beyond our own immediate needs and desires, to consider the well being of another person. This shift from self centeredness to mutual care and empathy can be transformative in itself. We begin to see the world through a broader lens, understanding that our actions affect those we care about. This newfound empathy can lead to personal growth as we become more patient, more understanding, and more willing to compromise. Love teaches us the value of giving, of supporting someone else's dreams and aspirations, and of finding joy in the happiness of another person. It's in these selfless acts of love that we often find the deepest sense of fulfillment and purpose. Furthermore, love challenges us to confront our own shortcomings. It holds up a mirror to our behavior, making us more aware of how we show up in relationships. When we care deeply about someone, we are more likely to reflect on our actions, to apologize when we've made mistakes, and to make an effort to change behaviors that might be hurtful. This kind of introspection can lead to profound personal growth. We become more mindful of our words, more intentional in our actions, and more committed to living in a way that aligns with our values. In this way, love can serve as a guiding force, helping us to become better, more compassionate versions of ourselves. The transformation that occurs through love is not always easy. It can be uncomfortable, even painful at times. It requires us to confront parts of ourselves that we might prefer to ignore. It asks us to be vulnerable, to risk getting hurt, and to trust another person with our hearts. But it's precisely this willingness to open up and take risks that leads to the deepest transformation. When we allow ourselves to be changed by love, we become more resilient, more open-hearted, and more capable of experiencing joy and connection. The beauty of transformation through love is that it's a continuous process. It's not a one-time event, but a journey that unfolds over time. As we continue to love and be loved, we keep growing and evolving. We learn new things about ourselves and about what it means to truly care for another person. We discover strengths we didn't know we had and develop qualities we might not have prioritized before, like patience, empathy, and forgiveness. In this ongoing process of transformation, we move closer to the best versions of ourselves, shaped and inspired by the love we give and receive. In essence, love has the power to transform us because it connects us to something greater than ourselves. It taps into our deepest desires for connection, for understanding, and for belonging. It pushes us to grow, to heal, and to strive for a life that is rich in meaning and fulfillment. Through love, we are reminded of our capacity for goodness, for kindness, and for growth. And it's in this space of mutual care and connection that we experience the most profound, life-changing transformations. Being loved is a beautiful, fulfilling experience, but it also comes with a profound responsibility that is often overlooked. When someone loves us, they are offering a piece of their heart, entrusting us with their deepest emotions, vulnerabilities, and dreams. Dreams. It's a gift that should not be taken lightly. The responsibility of being loved goes beyond simply enjoying the warmth and comfort that love provides. It involves reciprocating that care and making conscious choices that honor the trust and devotion given to us. It means showing up fully, being present, and understanding the impact our actions have on the person who has chosen to love us. To be loved is to be seen and accepted in a way that is both rare and precious. It's about someone choosing to stand by us, even when we are at our most difficult, imperfect, or challenging. This acceptance is a powerful thing, but it also requires us to reflect on our behavior and the way we treat the person who loves us. Love asks us to step outside of our own immediate needs and desires and consider the feelings and well-being of another. It calls us to show kindness, compassion, and patience, even in moments of frustration or conflict. The responsibility lies in the choices we make every day, how we speak, how we listen, and how we prioritize the relationship. It's about choosing to nurture and protect the bond we share, recognizing that it is a delicate thing that needs care and attention to thrive. One aspect of this responsibility is the need to communicate honestly and openly. When someone loves us, they deserve to know our true thoughts, feelings, and desires. It can be tempting to hide our insecurities or mask our discomforts to avoid conflict or maintain a certain image, but this only creates barriers in the relationship. Being transparent and authentic, even when it's difficult, is a way of honoring the trust that love has built. It's about giving the other person the chance to see us fully, to understand our needs, and to work together through any challenges that arise. This kind of open communication strengthens the bond between two people and allows for a deeper, more resilient connection. Another key responsibility of being loved is the commitment to personal growth. Love is a mirror that reflects back our own strengths and weaknesses. When someone loves us deeply, they often see parts of us that we may overlook or choose to ignore. They see our potential, our capability for kindness and growth, but they also see our flaws, our patterns, and our blind spots. It's a humbling experience to be seen so clearly. And it's our responsibility to take this as an opportunity for self-improvement. This doesn't mean we should change ourselves to fit someone else's expectations, rather. It's about recognizing the areas where we can become better partners, better friends, and better versions of ourselves. It's about taking the initiative to heal old wounds, work on our insecurities, and strive to be the kind of person who can fully reciprocate the love we receive. Being loved also involves a responsibility to protect the emotional safety of the person who loves us. When someone gives us their heart, they are making themselves vulnerable, trusting that we won't take advantage of their openness or betray their trust. It's our responsibility to honor this vulnerability by being mindful of our actions and words. It's about being considerate, avoiding careless behavior that could hurt or diminish the person who loves us. It means not taking their affection for granted, not using their love as a tool to manipulate or control, and not assuming that they will always be there regardless of how we treat them. Love requires respect, and that respect is shown through our daily actions, choices, and the way we hold space for the person who loves us. Moreover, the responsibility of being loved includes the need to offer love in return. Love is a two-way street. It's not just about being adored and cared for, but about reciprocating those feelings in a genuine, thoughtful way. It means expressing our appreciation, showing gratitude for the love we receive, and making an effort to meet the emotional needs of the other person. It's easy to get comfortable and start taking the love we receive for granted, but true love requires consistent effort and attention. It means planning small acts of kindness, offering words of affirmation, and making time to connect and nurture the relationship. It's about investing in the bond, even when life gets busy or stressful, and making the person who loves us feel valued and cherished. The responsibility of being loved also extends to understanding and accepting the imperfections of the person who loves us. Just as we are not perfect, neither are they. They will make mistakes, have flaws, and occasionally fall short of our expectations. Our responsibility lies in offering grace and patience, in choosing to see the person beyond their mistakes, and in loving them for who they are, not just for who we want them to be. It's about embracing the messy, imperfect parts of love and recognizing that real, deep love is not about perfection, but about acceptance, forgiveness, and growth together. Finally, to be loved means to be a source of support and strength. It's about being there in moments of need, providing comfort during difficult times, and standing by the person who loves us through thick and thin. It's not just about sharing the good times, but being a reliable partner during the challenges. This kind of support requires emotional labor, empathy, and a willingness to put the needs of the other person above our own at times. It's about understanding that love is not just a feeling, but an action, a choice we make every day to care for, protect, and uplift the person who has given us their heart. When we embrace the responsibility of being loved, we create a foundation for a relationship that is not only strong, but also deeply fulfilling. It's a conscious decision to honor the love we receive, to nurture it, and to grow alongside the person who loves us. This kind of mutual care and dedication is what transforms love from a fleeting emotion into a lasting, meaningful connection. The beauty of mutual choice is one of the most profound aspects of any loving relationship. It's the moment when two individuals, from their own free will, decide to walk together on a shared path. This isn't a choice made out of obligation, necessity, or external pressure. It's a decision rooted in desire, respect, and genuine care. In a world full of fleeting encounters and superficial connections, the idea that two people can look at each other and consciously say, "I choose you," carries a special kind of magic. It's a declaration that goes beyond the initial spark of attraction, delving deeper into a commitment to explore and grow together through both the highs and lows. Mutual choice in love is about seeing each other clearly, acknowledging both the strengths and imperfections that make up a person and choosing to embrace them entirely. It's easy to be drawn to someone's strengths, their best qualities, and the traits that align with our own desires. But what makes mutual choice beautiful is that it goes beyond that surface level. It's about choosing someone despite the imperfections, despite the disagreements, and despite the flaws. This decision reflects a deep understanding that no one is perfect and that true love isn't about finding someone flawless. It's about finding someone whose imperfections you can live with and grow alongside. This kind of choice brings a sense of empowerment and freedom to a relationship. When love is chosen mutually, it's not based on dependency or neediness. It's rooted in a genuine desire to be together. Each person retains their autonomy, their sense of self, and their personal goals, but they decide to share their journey with someone else. This is what makes mutual choice so empowering. It acknowledges the independence of both partners. They are not with each other out of a need to fill a void or to complete themselves, but because they find joy, value, and meaning in being together. This creates a strong foundation for a healthy relationship because it is built on the desire to grow together rather than an attempt to fix or save one another. The beauty of mutual choice also lies in the ongoing daily commitment to choose each other. It's not just a one-time decision made at the beginning of the relationship, but a continuous conscious act of choosing one another, even as both individuals evolve and change over time. Life is full of uncertainties and people are constantly growing, learning, and transforming. In a relationship, this means that the person you fell in love with initially may not be the exact same person 5, 10, or 20 years down the line. But the magic of mutual choice is the commitment to keep choosing each other, to keep adapting, and to keep loving each other through all the changes. It's the decision to wake up each morning and say, I still choose you. Even when things are tough, even when conflicts arise, and even when the journey gets challenging. This kind of love fosters a deep sense of security and trust because it's a love that is chosen, not just felt. Feelings can be fleeting and unpredictable, influenced by moods, external circumstances, and the natural ebb and flow of life. But choosing someone is an active decision, one that requires intention and effort. It's about prioritizing the relationship, making compromises, and working through conflicts together. When both partners make this choice, it creates a bond that is resilient, able to withstand the inevitable ups and downs of life. It's the kind of relationship where both people feel safe, valued, and cherished because they know that they are not just loved, they are chosen. The act of mutual choice also brings with it a deep sense of gratitude and appreciation. Knowing that someone has seen all of you, your quirks, your flaws, your vulnerabilities, and still chooses to be with you is a powerful affirmation of your worth. It's a reminder that you are loved not because you are perfect, but because you are you. This realization can be incredibly comforting and uplifting. It allows you to feel secure in the relationship, knowing that you are not just tolerated or accepted, but actively chosen. This sense of being chosen creates a space where both partners can be themselves without fear of judgment or rejection. It's a space where they can grow individually and as a couple, knowing that they are supported by someone who has made the conscious decision to stand by their side. Moreover, mutual choice lays the foundation for true partnership. It's about two people coming together as equals, both contributing to the relationship and both taking responsibility for its health and well-being. It's not about one person leading and the other following, or one person sacrificing everything while the other takes. Instead, it's a balanced, reciprocal dynamic where both individuals invest time, effort, and love. This kind of partnership is built on shared values, goals, and dreams. It's the recognition that while each person has their own path, they are choosing to walk together to support each other's growth and to build a shared future. This vulnerability is the glue that holds the relationship together, allowing both partners to connect on a deeper level beyond the superficial layers. It's in this space of mutual choice that true intimacy flourishes, a kind of closeness that comes from being fully seen and fully loved. In the end, beauty of mutual choice is that it is an act of love in itself. It's the decision to love someone, not just for a moment, but for a lifetime of moments. It's about choosing to love, not just when it's easy and fun, but also when it's hard and messy. It's the decision to invest in the relationship, to nurture it, and to grow alongside the person you love. It's a continuous process of choosing each other, of saying yes every day, even when circumstances change and life throws challenges your way. This kind of love is rare and precious, and it's what makes mutual choice one of the most beautiful aspects of any relationship.